And welcome to another episode of the Empower Man podcast. It's your boy, Mikey G, coming to you live from the free state of Florida. And today I'm joined by a man who needs no introduction, but he's going to get one anyway. He is the man who is so financially literate, he can open up his own bank or mortgage company. He is a man who is also literate in history. He is a man who is also literate in the English language. His diction spans greater than any man I know. But more importantly, he is literate in the language of love. He's the parent, the patriot, the proud papa of two beautiful girls. He's the mother. His mother's name is Carol. He's Greg A. Tedora, number one. Hi, Carol. I know you're listening, but I had to give a shout out to your mom, Greg. Because we will always be mama's boys. Greggy T,
Correct.
How are you? Happy 2 days before Saturday.
Happy Thursday for those that don't know what that means. But yes, hello, Mom. And I did better with cursing last time. Can't promise today. Oh, well, least of my concerns at this point in my life. Anyway.
But Greg, you are a gift and a curse.
This is true. And apparently I'm the new Wordle champ.
Congratulations.
Just throwing that out there. Who's ever listening knows what I mean by that. But anyway, spring has sprung up here finally. So it's all good, man. Weather's getting warmer.
It's paradise down here, pal.
That I know. I'll be down soon. I will be down soon.
It's paradise down here.
I keep telling the girls we're going on Mikey's boat.
Yes. And I keep telling myself I'm going back to the Ocean Club in the Bahamas, which was awesome. That place is awesome if you ever get a
I would
chance
like to play some golf with you in the Bahamas.
That would be nice.
That I would like to do.
That would be nice.
Sure.
That would be a lot of fun.
But I want to start by saying a shout out to the military personnel here and overseas. We love you guys and girls, and be careful. And we really appreciate what you do each and every day.
And I would like to give a shout out to all of our firefighters, our police men and women, our firefighter men and women, our first responders, our EMTs, our people that are on the front lines first, foremost. Thank you for what you do. Grateful that you protect our local cities, states, and municipalities and keeping us safe and sound.
Absolutely. So let's get right into tonight's topic, because it's one that people have different opinions on, which I respect. I have mine, which we'll talk about. You have yours, and people close to me are on both sides of it. And it's kind of a controversial one, depending on how far you take it. But I want to talk today about bullying, but more so hazing, specifically in like the sports community, growing up as kids, whatever. And it's a big deal everywhere. And my personal feelings on it, I'm for it to a certain degree, obviously, because everyone gets so upset. They're like, oh, well, how far do you take it? Taking it far is okay, but I think taking it too far obviously is not good. And we'll talk a little bit tonight why I feel the way I do. And I'm curious to know your thoughts on this and where you stand on the whole hazing on team sports, individual sports, like the wrestling world. I know it's big there, and it's a lifestyle. And I personally think it's good for a person's character when you're young. It's a big debate. I get a lot of people disagree with me, which is totally cool. I happen to be for it.
Well, I think when you look at hazing, there are certain parameters of hazing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the hazing that we may have been exposed to, at least, growing up, I was never really hazed that bad, which I'm lucky. I was never really hazed that bad. I was teased because I was a little chunky in middle
Mm-hmm.
school, but then I used that as motivation. And when I went from middle school to high school, I was smoking everybody. No one could keep up with me. My cardio was amazing, because I was determined to get into really good shape. And when I went back, oh my God, man, you look so good. I was in ninth grade, and that
Mm-hmm.
set the trajectory for me to, evolve into, my love and passion for working out and taking care of myself and whatnot.
Yep.
As I got older, in the wrestling world, you mentioned earlier, professional wrestling world, back in the day, it was a little different than it is now. Um, I think it's not that they were getting hazed. I think you had to prove yourself.
Yep.
So I think drawing that fine line between proving yourself and earning people's respect that have enabled you to get to that point, like the guys that came before me, I wanted to earn their respect. So I put the work in. So again, I never really got hazed. I got ribbed a little bit, but it was nothing like some of these people experience. It was just funny, funny
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But, I in turn, when I was in my 20s, I was a pretty angry guy. I didn't haze people, but I made them earn it, especially in that world, because I laid the way for other people to come in to, do this. So you had to prove yourself to me, and
Mm-hmm.
I put people through, nothing crazy, but just see how tough, toughen them up a little bit. Not that I mean, I never I got toughened up. I wouldn't say I got hazed. How I got bullied, I got teased, but I never got bullied. I never got hazed. I got teased. So I'm lucky that I did not experience that.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say right now that I am against it. And I'll tell you why I'm against it. I think hazing someone without knowing what they go through behind closed doors, or when you're not in that, when they're not front and present with you, I think can capitulate people's feelings. And you see that with everything going on right now with the cyberbullying. People are committing suicide, or people are driving towards some type of coping mechanism. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what if someone comes from a broken home? What if someone comes from a home with two moms or two dads, or something that someone can use to belittle someone?
Mm-hmm.
Or in some type of way, I am against it for that very reason. As you get older, in my wrestling crew, we all made fun of each other, but it was lighthearted. Because, as my friend, and I mentioned this in a previous episode, my friend Prince Nana, who's on AEW television, always said, if you jump on one of us, you jump on all of us. So,
Mm-hmm.
even people I didn't like that were in my crew, if something happened, it was game on. Or
Yeah.
we could make fun of somebody, but if someone else on the outside did, and, it was game on,
Yeah.
So, I think hazing and bullying, totally against, but there's, I think, ways where you earn people's respect to the point where you have that quote unquote locker room talk where
Mm-hmm.
you're busting each other's chops. I'm all for that, because those are the best friendships. You know what I mean? So
Agreed.
you have to
I agree.
really identify what bullying, and remember, bullying and hazing mean different things to different people. I
Yeah.
just feel like traditional bullying and traditional hazing, yeah, promote character because it'll toughen you up to go kick somebody's rear end, or maybe change something within yourself if someone's using that. But I'm against it, because I think we don't know the battles, especially as a teenager, or
Mm-hmm.
we don't know the battles we're fighting. So I'm against it personally. Your thoughts?
No, I think that was well said, and I agree with a lot of what you said, because I think there is a difference between teasing and bullying. Teasing is fine, but then if you take it too far, does it come into the land of bullying? I don't know. And you also mentioned cyberbullying, which we never had to deal with that when we were younger. We didn't have any of that because it didn't exist. Nowadays, with all the different platforms, and I see it with the younger kids, high school, junior high school, that's a real thing. I used to brush it off, but it's definitely a real thing. And even though 1,000 people might say you look, I don't know, ugly or something, these kids really take it to heart, even though you don't know 999 of them. You might know one of them, but they see that 1,000 and they see all those people just ganging up, and that's a lot. And I'm not cool with that. So the bullying, I'm not okay with. I guess the word is I'm all up for teasing and kind of harsh teasing. And I agree with you, earning the respect. And I think you got to take a lot of shit as a young kid in sports or whatever you're doing to earn the elders' respect, the next level up. If you're JV, you want to earn the respect of the varsity. I grew up swimming, and all the older guys used to beat the shit out of us, literally. And they would haze us in the locker rooms. They would talk shit in front of all the girls that we want to, we like, or that we want to look cool in front of. And there comes the hazing and the macho and the teasing. And but what you said, I get a lot of heat for saying, because I agree with you. You used it as motivation.
Mhm.
I say that all the time. I use that to do whatever I need to do to earn their respect, or to make myself stronger mentally, physically, be able to reverse the roles there. Which now, this day and age, good luck to any of those guys that did that to me now. It's a different story, but
Right.
I'm grateful they put me through all that, because it made me a different person in a good way.
Mm.
And I have earned their respect. And it's just, when I say that, a lot of people are like, well, that was easy for you, or it might be easy for you, Mike, to do that. But how would you know if it didn't happen to you? So if I'm not, listen, was it easy to get my ass kicked? No, it sucked. I don't care what anybody says, it sucks. And it's embarrassing, and you're helpless when you're young and there's a physically dominating person that you can't do anything to. That's demoralizing, and that makes you feel puny, and there's nothing you can do. However, they were the first people, if something went down, that were right next to me on my side. That's what I like about it. I think it builds the camaraderie, the brotherhood, the team spirit for both guys and girls. I just think it makes a stronger team.
Was
And I
that
get a
hazing or
lot
more
of heat.
initiating? Is that initiating or is that more hazing?
It's hazing. Like, initiation, in my experience, initiation was like, all right, you're a freshman in college. Initiation's like a week. That's nothing. Hazing, I think, is continual until the torch is passed, or until you draw the line in the sand and say, all right, bring it. And whoever comes out, you leave me alone. So I think initiation is just temporary, as hazing's a little bit more longer drawn out. At least it was for me. So by the time I got to, so I grew up swimming young. You know this. I
Mhm.
was 8 years old, 7 technically, probably 8, 9, 10 and under. After, so they go like 8 and under, 10 and under, 12 and under. After 12 is when the real, we'll call it, it's not bullying, but the teasing and the hazing started from the older kids. You know what I'm saying? They had to, you're the big kid on a team. There's nobody to challenge you physically. So you just round up the little ones and just abuse them, like beat them up, put the water. Sorry, mom, I'm telling all these stories. Like, they used to like put so we used to swim in Manhattanville College,
Yeah.
and in the men's locker room, there was 8 showers, 3, 2, and 3 in like a square. All right, turn them all on boiling hot. Get in. They'll just scold you. That's just part of the game. We just did it. The older kids held us in there and made us get burned until we couldn't take it. And the other thing was, like, you you dip the end, you roll the towel up real tight, dip the tip in the water, and you crack that whip, and you just split skin open. And they just did that. But
Mm.
it sucked at the time. But like you said, I used it. I kept it in this box of, okay, my fuel box, not my this is going to destroy me box. And I understand there's kids out there that can't decipher between the two. But I think it could possibly help you tap into maybe what kind of person you are.
Mm.
And if you think about it, if I think about it, and I'm just talking about the guys, I don't know what happened in the girls' room. Girls do the same shit to girls. They're horrible.
I think girls are
But
worse.
girls are worse because they're more emotional and verbal. Guys are just more physical, which
Mm.
you can look at as that there's an end to that. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think looking back, all the hazing and stuff, no one quit. None of the younger guys quit. We all made it up next level. Nobody left because of that. Now, is that because the generations are tougher or it was more accepted? I don't know. Are kids softer nowadays? I don't think the hazing's going on like it used to.
No.
I mean, you can't even say certain words. People get all butthurt now. I mean, words were easy to take back then. You can call me anything in the book. I don't care. Nowadays, you call somebody a name, they freak out and they don't know what to do. And I'm going to call this person and call that. Like, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's just a word. You know, I just think it builds character and it'll show you the type of person you are. And if you don't like it, it makes you make a decision. Quit, go hide and not do it again. Stay in your room, or figure out a way to take it, make it less, and make it go away. I don't know. What do you think?
Or people will go to, like, because I was thinking if that was me and 9 guys did that to me, I would, oh, that's nice. Sorry, I had my computer updated. I would one by one find them and corner them. And then I would.
When, years later?
No.
I couldn't do anything back then.
They're not all hanging out. Right. Or I would do something years later, or I would wait. I mean, if I was like that, because, you know, stuff like that, like, because I remember things too, but I just choose
I hold on to things.
Right. Yep. And that's the thing. Like, you know, nowadays, who's to say a kid wouldn't go out with a gun and shoot the whole school up?
So,
you
like,
know, it's so many different things.
That's the problem nowadays. Back then, no one did that. No one even thought of that. Now it's like, that's a real problem. It's a real problem. And like, I remember the strongest kid on the team. He was like a physical specimen. He might as well just been juicing at the time. I'm not going to say his name. His initials are CD. Everyone knows who he is. Phenomenal physique for 15 years old. I mean, like, just muscles and vein. Like, what was that? You're like a freak. And I remember, like, you know, when you're that big and strong, like, you can just impose your will on anybody. And, you know, I'm 100 and what am I, 140 pounds soaking wet? I'm not doing shit to that person. I'm no threat. And I remember he was making fun of a girl during practice, one of my friends, but like wouldn't let up and just kept talking shit. And she was getting upset. And it just came out of my mouth naturally. I didn't think about it. Thought about it later. And I said, you know what, CD? Why don't you just shut the fuck up? And then I remember, like, I pushed off to do my set and underwater. I go, please tell me I didn't say that out loud. Did I just say that out loud or did I think that? And I remember, I would never have said that to him. And then I remember after I was doing my set, my boy looked at me and his eyes were like white as ghosts. He's like, you're going to die after practice. And I'm like, did I really say that out loud? He's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, and I remember CD just looking at me across the pool during practice. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. And, you know, I didn't drive at the time. I'm like 14 or something. I don't know. My dad's picking me up. I'm like, I have to get my stuff out of my locker. I can't just run to the car. I can't look like that. I got to have to take this somehow. It was so, I must have said it so bad. Some of the older kids that used to take part in the hazing or whatever with CD, even they were like, yeah, man, you're in it. We're going to leave you alone on this one. Like, you're all alone. And I'm like, yeah, I took it. He hit me once, I think, in the locker room. But you know what, though? Never did it again. Learned my lesson. And I got in the car. My dad was like, kind of like laughed. He's like, ah. And he just said the name CD. I'm like, yeah. He's like, did you deserve it? I'm like, yeah. He goes, you going to do it again? I'm like, nope. No, I'm not. But I remember we used to all go to this bar underage in New Rochelle. And something happened. There was, you know, a fight or something broke out. Who's right on my right-hand side? No questions asked. CD. Right there. He goes, I got you. That's why I think it's good. In my opinion.
I mean, most bullies are victims anyway. They're in the victim mindset. Most bullies are victims of something. So you
I think
use
they're victims
their,
of themselves in their head.
I think that, but they also feel powerless. Some people make them powerless, so they want to make others feel powerless.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about, control. Like I feel like, and don't get me wrong, like I I tease this crap out of people. I was always running my mouth. I have a big mouth. Whatever it is. In other areas. Years ago, but like I was also compensating because
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
was compensating. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's hard to say to your kid, well, you should stick up for yourself. By the way, here's a few things you could do if anybody ever mess with you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out of my
Maybe I am
posterior.
too. I don't know. I mean, I don't think you are, but
I don't think that's right, though. Personally, I mean, you're a 14-year-old kid. He's, and you know what? I knew a couple kids in high school that were pretty gassed up. You know what I
mm,
mean? And some of the guys like that were pretty jacked up were also the nicest guys, and they would
100%.
also step in
Mm-hmm.
if they saw something that was not right. And I don't know this person. It was a
Yeah.
different time, so I can't speak. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure now there's probably a different. I would imagine there's probably a different thought process on that person's part. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Have you evolved as a person? But like, I don't think that's cool. I
I
mean,
don't think it's cool on his part. I think it's cool for the person that uses that in a positive way for themselves, no matter what that looks like. Whether they continue in that sport or they just get better as a person and stronger, they get more self-esteem, they get more confident. Maybe it takes them down a different path, and they crush it. I don't know, but you can't put a price on. We were a unit, our team. I mean, we traveled the country. Nobody messed with us. And I like that feeling. I would want that for my daughters. I don't want them to be hazed or bullied or anything, but I would want them if if they were on some sort of team, that team has, like you said, you hit one of us, you hit all of us. We were like that.
right.
And I think that's how we earned their respect, the older kids, and earned our stripes, where if something went down, they were right with us. Yo,
Right.
your boys took me in because I was an outsider. I wasn't a wrestler, but you took
They
me out. And we all hung out together at the Red
didn't beat
Rock,
you up.
greatest bar ever. And when shit went down or somebody started with me or if something happened, yo, your boys never asked a question. They were like, yo, Greg, let's go. We got you. And I'm like, okay. And same for them. If they got in something, if it was warranted, if they were just being assholes, I kind of would let it see where it develops. But man, they were all in all the time. And I can't hate on that. I can't.
But they didn't
It's
beat you
rare.
up.
Huh?
They didn't beat you up.
No, meaning they had my back,
Right. But
you
they
know?
brought you in, but they didn't have to, like,
Yeah.
throw, like, do stupid shit to you, like, rib you or shit like that. Like, I
Yeah,
knew
yeah.
guys that would like defecate in someone's like gym bag. You know what I mean? You open it up and
Mhm.
there's like a big turd. Like, they would do stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not really the right thing to do. I mean, I wouldn't want that done, but I mean, sometimes people deserved it
I
because if you
mean,
came in,
yeah,
but
yeah. I mean,
that's neither here nor there.
college was more, there was initiation, but then the hazing was a little bit like of a longer process. Like in our college, there was a big breezeway, so it was like the main artery. So it's this long thing from one end of the campus to the other, and all the way at the end was a cafeteria, the bookstore. You had the science wing, and all this shit broke off. And like, I think you had to put a sock on your piece and just walk naked down from one end of the breezeway to the other, and all the teams waiting for you on the other end, like shit like that, that
That's
that's not a
that's
big deal.
that's not big.
That's
No.
hazing. That's fine, I think, to me. I don't know. I
Well, in
just
high
think
school,
that's
they would take one guy, tackle him, duct tape him to a dummy, and rolled him out like in his underwear, like like with the volleyball team, when the girls' volleyball team was practicing, like that. That's like,
there's
I
nothing
don't
wrong
see
with
anything wrong with
that.
that. I don't see anything wrong with that at
I
all.
think
But
nowadays it's horrible. Like that, I don't think it's horrible, but people think that's horrible nowadays. But
no,
we
that's fine.
survived. They survived. Like, what's the big deal?
I think, again, when you're doing something to a helpless person, to me, I don't think that's cool. I would rather
Agreed.
I would rather do something to test someone's toughness, or I don't know. Like I would want to see your work ethic. Like I would call you out more on your work ethic. Like if you're lazy or if you're not
Mm-hmm.
doing something right, like I would scream or yell at you that way. But I think
Mm-hmm.
like I hear these stories of some of these guys like punching someone during practice. Like I love Michael Jordan to death. Michael Jordan, but let me tell you something.
Greatest.
If I was a basketball player and Michael Jordan punched me, that'd be the last thing he'd do on a basketball court. If you punched me during a practice, like back then, if I was a basketball player and somebody, like I can see if we're jostling for a rebound and you get physical, that's cool. Like, yo, we'll go on the same team. But if one of my teammates is going to throw a punch at me, I don't care how intense you are, that'll be the last thing you do on the basketball court because I will separate your shoulder right off its socket.
I agree with you. I would do the same thing, but I also understand his motivation and where he was going with it.
But you gotta read the room because not everyone responds that way. And now that we're
True.
older, we have emotional intelligence. Not everyone responds with certain way.
Well, that's to be debated, Mike. Yeah.
I mean, fear always motivated me.
Yeah.
Fear and anger always motivated me. But
Mm-hmm.
is that a good motivator? Depends who you are.
Can you get somebody to use that as motivation? Meaning, do you think someone's born with that or taught that?
Taught that.
Really?
Yep, because children are born with two fears: a fear of falling and a fear of loud noises.
No. I meant the ability to use that as fuel.
Sure.
To motivate.
Absolutely. Well, we just talked about Michael Jordan,
Mm-hmm.
right? Michael Jordan's always looking for the approval of his father. Right, that motivated him. That drove him. Like, yeah, he's my guy. I love Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love him. Like that guy motivates me. He's just such a force like that we'll never ever see again. But the psychology, if we're going to break down the psychology and dynamics of it, right? Michael Jordan's always looking for the approval of his father. He was always looking because I think his father. I'm not sure. So if someone out there knows the story, please correct me. I think his father always approved of his older brothers more than him. So he was always looking for that approval of his dad. Right. And he kept, and that drove him to unparalleled greatness.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean you have the right to throw a punch at me during practice. And Steve Kerr punched him back. I think that's great.
I respect that.
And what happened? Michael Jordan and Steve Kerr became close. You know why? Because in a real fight, Steve Kerr could take Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan ain't going to fight nobody. Steve Kerr, I think he's scrappy. That's what I think. And I think
he's definitely scrappy. I don't see him. I don't think he'll.
But I tell you what, though, once Michael Jordan got it back, well, that stopped real quick, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would teach my kid to stand up for themselves, but I'd also teach my kids self-defense. And I would also teach my kids a few things they can do if they were in a situation.
Agreed.
And then you be all those people that were going to haze you, then you'd be surprised that, don't mess with Greg Tador. He's a bad MFer. And then when you go out to a bar and Greg Tador standing next to you, then it's like, now they're empowered. Like you were empowered by that guy. Mm-hmm. Now, what if you took that guy out? You took out the toughest guy on the swim team. Let's just say you took him out. Let's just say he threw a punch, you ducked, and you choked him out. Or you put him in some armbar. I'm just saying hypothetical, right? Hypothetical, right? Because it sometimes it matters how strong you are, but it's all about technique and finesse.
Yeah, of course.
And you got a guy that doesn't know what they're doing, and all of a sudden you slip into something. Because a lot of guys, and we knew a guy that we used to work with many years ago, totally unassuming, but you saw it, what he did to me a few times, just messing around, right? Now you get a guy
I just
like him.
saw the ceiling. I don't even know what he did. He's like, stand in front of me, come at me. I'm like, do you really want me to come at you? He's like, no, come at me like you're in the street. I'm like, okay. I don't even know what he did. I'm looking at the ceiling. I have no wind in I don't know what he did. And he's the size of my leg.
So you get a guy like that on your swim team.
Oh, you're
14.
Done.
Now, guess what? And you know what? That guy's going to try to get revenge because he just lost the approval of the people around him because he got served by somebody younger. And he's going to try it again.
It depends on how bad the ass whooping was. If it's real bad, I don't think they're trying again. But if you edged them out a little bit, yeah, they're definitely coming at you again. Freddie T always taught me this. Don't start any fights. But if you're in a fight, don't ever let them get up. Yeah. Ever. Because they're going to get up, they're going to kick your ass. And it stuck with me. I agree with that. Because they will. they will. So
Or-
here's my question for
Yeah.
you.
Mm.
What is it? The Malice at the Palace. My
Yeah.
boy, Ron Artest. Love him.
It's St. John's graduate.
And who's the other one? Jackson?
Oh, Jermaine O'Neal.
No, that's the tall guy. The
Ben
other
Wallace. Oh, Steven
no,
Jackson. Steven
love
Jackson.
that guy. I love that
Yeah,
guy.
he's great. His podcast is awesome, by the way.
Oh, it's hysterical.
It's great.
I love it. I love it.
It's
They just
pretty
had
cool.
Vernon Maxwell. Love
Yeah,
that
Vernon
guy. One
Maxwell's
of the
great.
funniest guys ever. And
Dave
okay,
Vernon Maxwell's funny.
I am okay with what they did. I would have done the same thing.
Well, that's.
Well, and here's another thing. Vernon Maxwell went into the stands years ago when he was with Houston, when we were young. People don't talk about this because it's so old. So I think he had a stillborn child. And how he dealt with it, he's like, I'm going to play just to get out of my head and get in my zone or whatever. Everyone deals with it different. And he goes, there was a fan that was saying things like that about the stillborn, and he took care of business, and he went up into the stands and knocked that guy out. And I'm okay with that. I have zero problem with that. People think that's horrible, shouldn't do that. I just think there's certain lines, no matter where you are or who you are, young, old, you don't cross. And I think that guy in the stands crossed the line, and he got what he wanted.
But he also has the right to say what he wants to say because he paid for a ticket to see that person perform. So whether you're booing or cheering, you can say that. I don't think he had the right. I understand where you're coming from, but Vernon Maxwell didn't have the right to go do that. Now, if you saw him outside of the arena and you happen to bump into him on the street, it's a different ballgame.
What's the difference?
Well, you're not a paid spectator, and you're not protected by certain rules and regulations. When
you're a paying citizen.
That'd be like me going into a stand and slapping everybody that booed me and called me names.
I don't know. Do you think you can control yourself when you went through if you went through one of the worst things in your life, you're going to be able to control yourself? If you are, I tip my hat to you. I don't think I could. Certain things,
I don't know,
no way.
but I don't know. But, no matter how many things, I mean, you've gone through a lot of stuff. You've gone through a lot of things. And I think at the end of the day, you have responsibilities as a professional, and you can't let that you creep in. Do I agree with the Malice in the Palace? I thought it was a bad look, but I understand. Vernon Maxwell, I understand. I get it. But you can't go smacking people around. Imagine if 5,000 people called you names or said something about your wife or your mom. What are you going to go try to beat 5,000 people?
I hear you.
You know what I mean? You got to be professional enough.
Well, let me throw a curveball then.
Sure.
I agree with what you're saying, but put yourself at 20, 22 years old. Try to control that. No way. No way. No way.
Then that's bad on the team. The team should not have let him play. If you know someone's psyche and they have a propensity, because I never liked Vernon Maxwell as a player. Couldn't stand him. Was he he was a good shooter. He was a good shooter. He was a good defender. He was good. And even Steven Jackson, never liked him as a player.
Love him.
But I love his podcast. His podcasts are awesome. But they've also matured. Yeah. And I think their response to that question, if you were to ask them that, would probably be in a certain arena where, hey, at that age, when you're that raw and you could be in an environment that could put you in a bad position, I probably wouldn't have. I would let him sit on the bench, or I would let him play. That's just me. I let him be around the team to have the support, but I wouldn't put him in a position to do something that could not only injure himself, the team, the league. Because you got to remember, man, in that context, you're a representation of the league. You're a representation of the team. Look at back in the day. A lot of these wrestlers would get stabbed. Down here in the South, that's different. If someone's coming at you with a knife and trying to stab you, but you know what, though? The mindset is, well, guess what? If a fan's willing to stab me, right, that means they're going to come back the following week and pay for another ticket, and they're going to draw money, right? So it's all a psychology. I just saw a clip. We had Travis Orndorff on, and I loved his dad. God rest his soul. So his dad put an 80-year-old guy in the hospital. Made the news. Look it up on YouTube. Paul Orndorff
I will.
Puts 80-year-old wrestling fan in hospital. But
what'd he do?
I don't know if he shoved him or punched him, but the fan tried getting involved. Now, let me capitulate that. If the fan tried to, like what happened with Poland, like, if fans try to get involved, then it's game on. Like
Well,
the
didn't
malice
Hulk Hogan beat the shit out of that guy in that ring that one time he got in? Like
one
those
time,
guys,
yeah.
and Macho Man was there.
And that happened with Triple H and Stone Cold. The fan got in the ring and they got beat up for real. Because
They
now
should.
this is the thing with that situation. When a fan crosses the line, if the fan gets involved, like I don't remember the Malice in the Palace. If the fan threw something at Ron Artest.
Threw his cup on him.
So technically that's like the green light for Ron Artest to go up there.
100%. Be green light for me. I'm down for that.
Technically. But like, if a wrestling fan can call me names and my family and my kids, whatever, but as soon as you step over that barrier, and as soon as you cross the line from make believe to the real stuff, then it's game on. Because now the wrestlers are at risk, the athletes are at risk.
Yeah.
So that's the thing where, athletes have to be very careful. I mean, I know.
I don't think the NBA and all them do enough to protect them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I also think social media we talked about the perils and the evils of social media. It's ruined a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, social media killed kayfabe because everyone thinks that everyone knows. I mean, everyone knows wrestling's a work. But when you go and pay to see a show, you suspend reality. You suspend belief in what's real for a couple hours. And you believe that, and believe me, folks, it's real. It may be choreographed, but the risks and the perils are real. But, a lot of these guys, like Bill Laimbeer, like I wouldn't mess with Bill Laimbeer. I wouldn't mess with Rick Mahorn. I wouldn't mess with like some of those guys that were just like punishers back in the day. Like those guys were punishers. Like if you saw them like chilling with Michael Jordan or like chilling with Scottie Pippen after a game, or like, and these guys hated each other. And that's what made it so believable.
I love that.
Now the players are all friends and they're hugging and kissing after a game. So it's different times.
It is.
Different times.
It is.
Sorry, that was a long.
No, I was curious your thoughts on that because I was okay with that.
Yeah,
and got a lot of heat for that too. I'm friends with Ron Artest. Like we used to hang out back in the day, and he's a good dude. Yes, everyone has issues. He just snapped, but he was known for that, and he actually, I think he has a foundation now for like helping, mental health, which I think is great. I love that.
Right. Because
I think he finally found a really good therapist that everything just clicked. And when you find that one person that's good,
hey,
I wish some more people would do that, but it's not easy. Clearly, there's a lot of shitty psychologists and psychiatrists out there.
Well, I found Patrick, and that he changed the game for me.
Oh yeah,
he changed the game for me, and he started my path on just like enlightenment. I mean, I think psychologists and social workers, you're in a position to educate and teach and coach, not like say, oh, geez, you're a victim, you need medicine, or you're a victim, or you've got this disease or that disease or this.
I think a lot of them pray and build their practices off of feeding the victim mentality.
Right.
So keeping their own food chain, their bills paid by just feeding into that. That's my opinion.
That's a sad
there are good ones out there. I just think it's rare.
Yeah.
It's rare to have one that truly is good, has good intention, and wants to really help people.
I agree.
So, yeah.
Well, we talk about Steven Jackson, their podcast. They love Larry Bird, and some of these Larry Bird stories are awesome.
Yo, he was a tough guy too.
And and they tried to make him first practice. Larry Bird's, you can carry my bags. Now, see, there's an example of where getting real goes wrong, because those guys were rough back then in the late 70s, early. Remember, NBA was tape delayed. They weren't even like legitimate.
Yep.
And then after day one, you're carrying my bags. So if you have that type of bravado where you're going to go into a practice, or it's probably different sports where you can be like, no, like Joe Namath pulled up in like a Cadillac and a fur coat, and he throws like a 70-yard touchdown pass And his first, like, didn't even warm up. I mean,
Crazy.
being a Jet fan, and I love Joe Willie, so, So, I mean, every situation is different. Overall, I'm against it, hazing and bullying, but I am for initiating people. And initiating can be interpreted as hazing or like lighthearted bullying. I initiated people. I tested people to see if you got it because I got tested. I got stretched out. I got bumped around. I got blown up, but I kept coming back. But I also respected people. I had a good work ethic. I wasn't lazy. I wasn't a mark for myself. I wasn't in this for me. And I earned people's respect.
I think respect is earned. I agree. And I think it's not a given. And I think people go around with this entitlement now. We talk about it.
Oh, it's awful.
And you need to respect me. Show me why I need to respect you. Tell me why I have to respect you. What have you done for me to respect you? Well, you just should. No, it doesn't work like that. I wasn't brought up that way, and I don't think it applies now either. I don't instantly respect you. I don't want you to instantly respect me. I'll earn yours. It's a two-way street with me. Same with you. I have no problem showing you. No problem.
I respect the hierarchy. Like if I'm in the wrestling world, promoter, booker,
Of course.
agent, I respect the
Yeah.
the authority, but the person behind that authority, again, that's got to get proven to me. If you show me, it goes back to what we have always talked about. About I show someone respect, I would like to get that same respect back. In fact, I kind of expect it in a weird way, not having expectations of people, but if I call someone sir or excuse me, I'm sorry, I apologize. Oh, don't worry about it, it's all good. Because again, it's all in the delivery. Right? You could mean well, but your delivery could be so bad that it just. But that comes with self-awareness. That comes with self-reflection.
Yeah.
And
experience, all of that.
Experience. I mean, think about what we went through was nothing compared to what these kids and your girls are going to go through.
True.
Because the optics of what a girl is supposed to be and what a guy is supposed to be and what this fairy tale, like everything is a fairy tale and nothing goes wrong and everybody has money and possessions and no one knows what it's like to struggle and work for things. Their perception, thank God.
So warped.
Thank God you are their father.
Yeah, but like I say this all the time to a friend of mine here in the Northeast. I'm like an outcast, like an anomaly. No, I haven't met hardly any people that think like me when it comes to certain things, raising them. It's crazy to me. It's wild. Everything you just named is every day up here. Every day. Down there too in certain parts, obviously. It's wild. And I think parents don't want to parent anymore, and
you mentioned that.
It's horrible, man.
Helicopter parenting. I never heard that term before.
Helicopter parenting is one, and kids are not accessories, women. They're not accessories. They're not little dogs you can put in a bag and then just go put it in your closet at the end of the day. That life's depending on you. You need to show them through your examples how to be a real woman. Same with the fathers. Be there for your kids. Yeah. I don't care if you work 80 hours a week. I know some dudes that work crazy hours. Awesome fathers, hands down. They make the time, and it's quality time. And whether you have 5 minutes or 50 minutes, it's all in during that time. But just some people don't know how to parent. They don't want to be parents. They just want to say they're a parent. And you can clearly see that.
Well, I'll give a shout out to your friends, Monica and Bill. You told me that story about them, two very successful people that had an epiphany in a certain way in making some lifestyle changes or like looking at things differently. And they were able to kind of transform. Now they have children, right?
Two.
And they stick out in my mind when I hear people that, have these crazy jobs, hours, salary, this and that.
Wild, traveling, this, relocation, family first. Everything else will settle.
And that's the way it should be.
Super rare now. It's definitely the minority. They had a moment and they came together and they mapped everything out. And you know what? They're rowing the same boat in the same direction. I love that. I can't hate on that at all.
and they're a team.
Everyone, I'm not saying you can't be individuals in a relationship. People mistake that like, oh, I should be able to, live my own life. It's not what I mean. It's not what I'm saying. You can still have independence in a relationship, be fully committed with a family. It's not that hard. But people just, they all I say it all the time, all this dumb shit on TV and all these celebrity influencers. It's such I can't believe people still do this, watch this, and give a shit what these people think. It blows my mind.
Well, the value system too. The value system is really bad.
I don't even think there is one anymore. There used to be.
You might be right.
It's horrible. It's horrible. Anyway.
You might be right. But like you said, family first. I think, if you put money first, then whatever cascades after that value falls in line. But you put family first, everything kind of falls a certain way. So family, job, money, however whatever that tree looks like.
Yeah. And I know I'll get a lot of shit for believing in hazing and stuff like that, but like I said, to a degree, not you hear some of these college kids and some of these stupid fraternities like drinking themselves to death because they're being hazed. That's not what I'm talking about. You're not drinking a liter of vodka straight. I'm not talking about that, but like the physicality, the beating up and stuff like that, I'm okay with that to a degree. I'm not saying put somebody in the hospital, but I think it's good motivator.
You see, the initiation younger was great because you see what someone was really like when you go to the bar with them.
That's what I'm talking. Exactly.
But I wasn't looking to I just want to see what your endurance was.
So here's the question: did we initiate our boy Justin to the Red Rock? Because that's a hell of a story. We got to get him on. We got to have a funny stories from back in the day with him narrating that. That'd be a good one.
That was an initiation. It wasn't a hazing.
No.
Hazing to me is almost like it's deprecating. Like if I take someone to a bar, people I used to work with, I wanted to see what they were really like. Let's go to the bar. And, like I order you a beer, I have a beer. When I finish my beer, I order you a beer. But to me, that's what happened in wrestling. And those stories those are hilarious. And then people usually tap out. Like that's different though, because most guys bonded over beer. Like you do your thing, and then you go to the bars after, and it was a way to bond. It's like, hey man, like I'm out with so and so, and you're going Jack and Cokes, and obviously if you can hang, then you can hang. If not, then we put you in a cab. You go home. You wake up, oh, I feel like crap the next day. But it was never like, all right, I'm gonna put something in some guy. Now I know people that would put. I forgot they were called H bombs. I heard this story. I don't know what the H stood for, but it was something where I heard some of these stories on YouTube recently. Like in the 80s and 90s, it got different because there was a lot of drugs were really bad in the 90s.
Yeah,
I didn't get it until the late 90s, but I guess in the late 80s, early 90s, guys would H bomb. So they would put these pills in someone's drink, and I guess they would fuzz, and then you wake up not remember what you did the next day. Or I heard stories of guys, I forgot who they were. They would take they would do farm things where they'd have a bag full of pills, and they would take it and gargle it with Jack Daniels, and I'm like, oh, I heard Kurt Angle took 60 Vicodin or 60 painkillers in one day. I was like,
it's good for your stomach lining.
60. He was that bad. I was like, holy smokes.
A big guy.
So that's bad. When you're H bombing people or putting stuff in people's drinks. But if you let's just say I just meet you day one. Oh, hey, let's go get some beers. And let me see what this guy can do. So beer, hey, come on, let's do a shot. And that was the way you could test someone's toughness.
Yeah.
But would I do that now? Probably not. At 40 something years old, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But now it's different.
And when you're hazed or whatever, younger, and then you get to college and you do their initiation, which is like baby shit to them, to me at that point, then now you have like a chip on your shoulder as a freshman. You're going in there and you're from New York because I went to college down in Florida. Like, oh, you're from New York, you're tough, and I'm like, no, but yes, because you had to be because you're from New York. And then I remember there was a kid on the team. He was older than me, and he had this cool tattoo in the middle of his back. And I didn't know too many people with tattoos, like, going into college. And I was like, yo, what is that? He goes, I'm not talking about it. And I'm like, and he was a cool kid. I'm not talking about it. And his roommate was like, don't ask him again. And I'm like, what? And then he didn't have like the physical presence of like an ass kicker, like we were just talking about earlier. And I remember like I was real cool with him, but I was cool with his roommate. He's like, yo, that kid could fight, man. Like, don't mess with him because I see you messing with him, like messing with him like for fun. Like, I'll beat the shit out of you. And he's like, no, you're not. And then I remember we were at some party. I don't remember whose party it was. And him and I were cool. And I was talking shit. And I remember he's like, yo, you gotta stop. I'm gonna hurt you. In like in a playful way, but in a serious way. Like, I'm gonna hurt you. So you need to stop. And I'm just like the annoying little brother. I'm just like, man, fuck you, man. Come on. I'll kick your ass for all these people here trying to be tough in front of the girls or whatever. I think some of the baseball players were there. We didn't get along with them. Some of the soccer players were there. I was cool with them. And he's like, yo, no more. No more. I'm like, okay. And I just kept going. I woke up. He threw me through a glass table. I just woke up with all my friends laughing. Oh, he knocked me out. And I guess I fell through a table, like a glass, like coffee table. And I woke up and everyone was laughing. I wasn't like really hurt. I didn't get cut, thank God. But I remember all my friends were there and I'm looking up and I'm smiling because I don't know what happened. I don't know. And to this day, I don't know what happened. And they're all laughing. They're like, oh man, it was so embarrassing. But like I asked for it. And he was standing right there and I'm like, yo, what'd you do, man? He's like, I told you, leave me alone. Him and I became real good friends. And long story short, he told me one day that tattoo, he used to be a big like MMA guy. And I forgot in what discipline, not one of the singular disciplines. He got so good fighting like in the ring that he did like the kumite shit. He was doing underground illegal street fighting in high school and like whooping dudes asses. Like he was nasty. But he was doing it all underground illegal. His instructor found out and he went to like an old school, you don't do that type of person. And his punishment, he was banned from like their dojo for a hot minute. And that was a punishment tattoo he had to get in the middle of his back. So it's not like people that know what that tattoo is know he fucked up and he did something real bad and like put a bad stain on that dojo or whatever they had, his teacher. And I was like, yo, you did like street fighting stuff, like blood sport? He's like, I've been to all the weirdest places and did that. And I'm like, no wonder why you put me through a table. And he goes, oh, that was nothing. And I'm like, thank you for not hurting me. But he was always by my side no matter what. Cool kid, can't hate.
No.
So I think like things like that are good. I don't know. Probably sound crazy.
But he asked you to stop and you didn't do it.
Oh, I know. I listen. You know me. I'll take the L. I'll take the L. This is my fault. Just like in with the CD, I asked for that and I got it. But you know what? You learn lessons. I didn't do it again.
Well, you stuck up for your friend.
Yeah. But like I didn't do that again with somebody like that. And that's when I really learned not to judge a book by its cover. I mean, don't do it, people. There's some it's so crazy. Anyway.
You know what? Yeah. Well, you know what's so funny? Like I think about my behavior sometimes, and I had a really bad temper, and I acquired that from growing up.
Mm-hmm.
As I've gotten older and I've evolved, I used to use that as a compensatory mechanism because I wanted people to think I was like crazy or I was just like, I could kick your rear end. And meanwhile, like I probably couldn't fight my way out of a box. Now I've gotten into a few scuffles and I'm lucky it didn't get as bad as it did. you know,
Yeah.
but like I always had you, I'd Phil. I always my friends were always bigger than me. So I was running my mouth. And I look back on it now and I'm really lucky. And I'm really lucky. And I think people that have a temperament, like, you know, like now as I'm older, it's just like even and I'm still working on it. Like little things, like things that annoy me.
Agreed.
Like
Yep.
little things like my cat, like I'm just waking up and just like, yo, I could never be a parent. Maybe I could, I don't know.
Nah,
And then
you'd be a great dad. Are you kidding
I
me?
mean, my cat's like right here. She's like laying by my side. Like it's the only thing in this life that's ever judged me. And what's so funny is after I'll tell her to like STFU, I'm just waking up. Let me get my coffee. I go and I kiss her paws. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Like if you had a camera, like I'm apologizing to like a four-legged creature. And she's
Yeah.
just like, and she knows it too. And she'll like turn her
Of course
head,
they do. She's like, yeah,
you
whatever.
know, but
Go get
then
my
like
food.
but then she's rubbing against me, you know, and
Unconditional love, man.
unconditional love that I'll never get from anywhere else. And I can just say, like, you know,
You
being
never
able
know.
to,
I mean, our boys are like that.
but one of our episodes we're going to talk about as you get older, do you really need a relationship?
We got some good ones coming, that's for sure. That's definitely one.
But I look now and I think about like my temperament and I think about things. And then, you know, the way that I was spoken to at times in my formative years was meant to be controlled and feared. And I think when you have that type of temperament, you want to control people. Like you want to be able to say, hey, and like sometimes it's warranted, like anger is a human emotion. But I think the tough guys always keep their stuff close to the vest. And I have to tell a funny story. A guy that worked with me a lot, people that are wrestle, they know Harley Race, right? My guy, I love him. I used to go out and wrestle with him. It was awesome. God rest his soul. Story I heard about him was that he was at a diner once eating dinner. Now Harley was, wasn't the biggest guy, but I mean, he was big and he just looked like why would you ever want to mess with him? And I loved him and he was awesome and he was just the best. And I heard a story about him about how he's having like, it was after a show, he was eating at a diner. And these fans kept like, oh,
Was he
that wrestler's, you're
alone?
not
Or
tough.
was he
Yeah, he was
alone?
alone.
Or
He was
okay.
alone. He's like, you're not tough. You're not tough. You're not tough. Or he mentioned something about like, oh, that wrestling is fake. That wrestling, whatever. So he picked up a ketchup bottle, Heinz with the 57, Heinz, those glass bottles, and he smashed it over the guy's head. He
Man,
goes,
those are
now,
thick bottles,
he
man.
goes, now you're in the business, Dad. He paid his bill and left. I was like, that's just like, God rest his soul, man. Like those are the stories I love to hear about. Like, I mean, like he probably put the guy in the hospital because these
Those are some
guys,
thick bottles, man.
but he was a thick guy. Like his hands were like catcher's mitts.
Imagine
Those
that
old
sound
school,
doing like
dude. Imagine what that must have felt like.
Glass bottles don't break like they do in movies, people. Those are props and fake breaking glasses.
Dude, he smashed.
Beer bottles do not break like that. That's why a lot of places serve them in cups for people like us when we were younger. They don't break. Anyway.
Oh God, yeah. But I don't know, man. I think anger again. It's just being able to control that and being able to harness that. Like your friend, again, unassuming. Nice, and then he just said, "All right, dude." Like, and he,
Softest dude you'll meet in a good way, like super quiet, humble, very. I didn't know he was a street fighter. What? And like a legend. No idea.
Right.
You would never know. You'd be like, oh, this is a cool kid, like whatever. You'd probably be like, he was a surfer, like super chill. He'll choke you out and break your face in 2 seconds.
Right. And the toughest guys were always the sweetest guys because they know. Well, look at our friend Phil. Every girl I ever dated younger, Phil was always the litmus test. Phil, what do you think? And you know what? I love Phil. Phil's so nice. I love Phil. I mean, but no one can ever say a bad thing about Phil. There's no one.
Nope.
Nobody can.
Nope.
And you know what? Like, and he's one of those guys, you push him to a point and the real deal, man. He's the real deal.
He picked me up like I was a baby. Just like nothing. Like I'm just picking up a bag to go to the airport, like a backpack. Like, all right, Greg, we're getting out of here. It's hysterical.
Insane.
It's so crazy.
Insane.
Anyway, good episode, man.
Yeah.
I get a lot of heat, so I wanted to talk about the hazing, and people are upset that I'm for it. But I went through it, and I like it to a degree. Not, like I said, so I'm okay. And to the people out there that may be getting hazed or they think they're gonna get hazed, use it. Like Mike said, use it for motivation. Tap into yourself and figure out a way to. It will come to an end, and just try to make it shorter and be tougher inside. Use it to build character, and use it to bond with those people. Because if they do it properly, those people will have your back no matter what. No questions asked. And if it's not for you, then you need to do something else and go somewhere else, because it's just the way it is. But I think it's more the cyber stuff that's the problem. Because you can't escape that. You can't turn that off.
And the fact that people hide behind a computer.
Of course.
Phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and
I just wish these young kids
Yeah.
would stop looking and equating likes with reality. Like, oh my God, I only got 30 likes on this. I just wish they wouldn't care so much. I really do, because it doesn't mean shit in the real world.
But it's validation.
I know.
So being able to validate yourself, and being able to delineate between what's hazing, what's bullying, and what's initiation.
And what's just a little teasing, Oh, I'm bullied at school. You're probably just teased. If you're bullying, that's like pretty easy to spot. That's a problem. I don't like bullying in school.
No,
I don't like that. I was more specifically for like sports and team and camaraderie, but bullying and teasing in school, everyone teases. Everyone's been teased. I know I have a billion times. Your ears are too small. This is too big. You're too short. You're too fat. You're too big. You're too skinny. Kids will find something to make fun of somebody on.
Right.
You have blonde hair. You should have brown hair. Brown hair. You should have blonde hair. Like, whatever. Mm-hmm. But the bullying is like a real
problem.
It's a real problem. I just wish more people, boys and girls, were more or had more self-confidence where they can just let that brush off. I know it's hard, but
it comes from the home.
You'll learn when you're older. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean anything.
And you know what? Like you said, when you're older and the roles get reversed,
it's the best feeling.
I knew a couple people where, like, I heard this. I forgot who was telling me the story, but they got bullied by somebody, and they went into a barber. One of my clients told me the story about how he got bullied by this guy in high school, and then they ended up going to the same barber, and he goes, Mike, he goes, I saw him. He tried to be my friend. He goes, yo, I called him out right then and there.
Hell yeah. Good for him.
He's like, yo, he goes, I was this close.
I wouldn't even let him go to that barber again.
And he chickened out.
Of course he did.
So most bullies at heart are cowards, or not cowards. Well, they're compensating for something. Mm-hmm. They feel powerless, so they like making people feel powerless. So if you're getting bullied, you should obviously let somebody know.
Yeah.
But there's also the part of me that says you stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
And I think it all starts from the home. I think if you're validated at home, you're able to take that validation out into the real world. But I also think men, women, everyone should learn some type of self-defense. Because again, your friend there, let's just say you were Jeff, our friend Jeff. And that happened. You know what I mean? Like Jeff would have, and Jeff is like, maybe, and Jeff, I love you if you're listening. I haven't seen you in 20 years. Maybe he's 5'7" on a good day.
Maybe.
And maybe 150.
Maybe.
And he spent years in the Israeli army. And you would never know that.
Nope.
If you saw him. And he will end you. And that's it. And
5 seconds.
Mic drop. Seconds. Ending our episode with Jeff. Mic drop.
Agreed. Haze nicely, everybody. Thanks for listening. And we got some more stuff coming down, so it's good. We got some guests lined up, and we got some good things cooking. So appreciate everybody.
And I want to say before we hang up, I want to wish a happy Mother's Day because it's next week to your mom.
Yes, yours too.
All the moms out there, to all the future moms out there, to all the single moms out there, to all the double moms out there. If you're a mom, happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day to the real moms out there.
You got it.
All right. Take care, everybody.